he's in concussion protocol, but he was no longer in the red non-contact jersey, so one step in the right direction to playing on Sunday. And then not the case, though, for Nico Collins. He's also in concussion protocol. Texans wideout was not at practice today, so it really does look unlikely that we'll see Nico in this game. But good for them. Christian Kirk had a breakout game in the last round. All right, let's read and react to some other news around the NFL, starting in L.A., where Jim Harbaugh talked about the firing of Greg Roman, saying that they would cast a wide net for the new offensive coordinator, prioritizing physicality. Harbaugh said he's not limiting the search to a specific system. Interesting. Quote, we're going to look for the best one that has a track record, has proven success. Assistant GM Chad Alexander, GM Joe Ortiz, and Harbaugh interview candidates. The new OC will have input on the O-line coach, but not a final say. J-Mac, what does the next OC need to change for Justin Herbert to take the next step?
I think when you look at what Greg Roman was able to do, they were able to establish the run at different moments, but for Greg Roman, they had so many injuries up front that it was hard to really expound on that system that he was going to be able to run. I look at it now, moving forward. What are you looking for? I look at what Liam Cohen was able to do with Trevor Lawrence. Grant Udinski is the offensive coordinator under him. Somebody like that, a veteran quarterback who just needs the guidance to take his game to the next level, could potentially be a good fit.
The Chargers not the only team making a change at OC. We've talked about this throughout the show. There's so many good jobs that are available. Philly firing Kevin Patullo this week. Nick Sirianni addressed that decision today.
I think
that succeeded in Philly became head coaches the next year, Shane Steichen and Kellen Moore. The last two offensive coordinators who struggled, their lives were absolute hell, and it was misery going through those seasons, and they were fired in 1 year. Brian Johnson and Kevin Patullo. So you need to be built for this. This is not just who's good at X's and O's. That job right there comes with a lot more than just drawing up what works for Jalen Hurts.
That's interesting. You heard Sirianni saying there, you got to fit us, but what you're saying matters a lot.
You need to be built of the internal fortitude, and honestly, Kevin,
good point.
You talk about Sirianni, he let Kellen Moore have full autonomy of that offense. I don't know if that was the case with Patullo. I'm curious, with a lot of these offensive minds who have a lot of pride and want to do their thing, who wants that responsibility, and who would look at it and say, hey, you got an offensive coach. Like, I'll go with Todd Bowles and be an offensive coordinator. No, I can actually do this with my own.
Still to come, we get a lot more to story. Sam Darnold, the Seahawks quarterback, questionable with an oblique injury. This report just coming out. And Adam, you've got an update on us. Tell us more.
All right, Laura, moments ago, Sam Darnold met with reporters in Seattle, and he told them that he felt something in his oblique today, went inside to get treatment and rehab, didn't feel like it was the time to push it today, and said he does expect to play Saturday night versus the 49ers. However, again, when he felt that, he went inside the training room, called it a day, doesn't think it'll be an issue Saturday night, but that'll be something that everybody will be paying attention to when these two teams square off on Saturday night in Seattle.
Yeah, we mentioned quick turnaround. This game is coming up in just a couple days, so we will keep an eye on it for sure. Dan even noticing that maybe Robert Saleh would change some things with his defensive scheme if Darnold is limited at all in the game. Thanks to Adam. Let's turn our attention to the game on Sunday. And yeah, you hear the music because it's on our air. AFC divisional round matchup is set. C.J. Stroud and the Texans taking on Drake May and the Patriots. 2:45 Eastern on ABC, ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app. Our coverage begins with postseason NFL countdown at noon Eastern on ESPN. Now, Drake May had the best completion percentage in the NFL this season, and it didn't seem to matter who he was throwing to. 9 different Patriots had at least 200 receiving yards, most in the NFL, and one shy of tying the NFL record. Dan, how is that Pats offense getting it done in the pass game?
Well, the one thing that they've started to do more is put Thyre Munford, their 6th offensive lineman, on the field just for protection. Here's these 6 offensive linemen, and they build in a completion and shot. Bottom of the screen is a quick out the step. If you like it, great. If not, we're going to 2-on-1. This is really the backside of what is the traditional sluggo seam. A seam route and then an outside out and up. And we're really 2-on-1 that deep defender. If he sinks inside, we throw the outside ball. And then what happens if you consistently do stuff out of this 6 offensive lineman group, there's only 4 defensive backs on the field for the Chargers. Because of that 6th offensive lineman grouping with the 2 tight ends. We're yelling to the defense, here comes the run game, here comes the run game, here comes the run game. You match with big bodies. Hunter Henry goes in motion. Play action Henderson, of course, unbelievable in pass protection. And then the ball goes down the field. I get asked all the time, like, hey, what do you have to do against this Houston Texans defense for success? There's not a lot. One of the things that I would do, if I were New England, I'd put that 6th offensive lineman on the field 20, 25 times. You have to take shots. I take 8 to 10 shots this game. Booty, you need the best game of your season. If you're going to win this game, he's got to meet the competition on the back end, have his best game of the year.
You think about that secondary is like taking shots. I hear you.
You have
All
to.
right. New on NFL Live, just want to tell you guys this really fast. Some good news on the defensive side. Christian Gonzalez, Adam Schefter, Bills head coach Sean McDermott ruled out cornerback Maxwell Hairston and safety Jordan Poyer for Saturday's game versus the Broncos. Something to keep an eye on for sure. And a couple key guys Bo Nix will not have to worry about late in games where he's already made history this season. Nix had 7 game-winning drives, a Broncos franchise record, ahead of Hall of Famer John Elway in 1985. Both also led the NFL that season. So, J-Mac, what will be the key to getting Bo Nix finding success this Saturday?
I think for Sean Payton, it's starting early of getting him comfortable. We already know what he's capable of doing in the fourth quarter. And I think getting him to understand you don't have to be Josh Allen for our football team to win the game. You don't have to put all of this on your back. I think it starts, number one, with Bo Nix using his legs. That's not only to run, but that's also to throw the football. He's one of the best outside of the pocket, throwing the ball on the move. Number two is trusting your offensive line early on and running the football. R.J. Harvey continuing to get the ball and beat down on that Buffalo Bills defense, wear them down. And then number three, early on, wide receiver screens and screens to the running backs, screens to Evan Ingram, the tight end, getting the ball out of Bo Nix's hands and getting him comfortable early on in this game. But I go back to that. You don't have to be Josh Allen. You don't have to be Superman for 4 quarters for your football team to win this game.
Yeah, Denver's got to turn into a perimeter game for them. And I agree, Bo Nix, some quarterbacks want completions early. He wants to get hit early. Peaks and valleys out of Bo Nix.
Yep.
The valleys have been when he plays against teams that are good at zone defense. So when I talk about valleys, I talk about pretty poor. And this is what he's done struggling against zones.
Wow.
Now, conveniently for Buffalo, they're one of the most used and best zone defenses. I think he's going to see a lot of different looks, whereas a defense, you're sitting there going, how many defenders are there? What am I looking at? And so now does he take off with his legs, and then you have just bodies running after him. And then the accumulation of how their linebackers play, their linebackers, the way that they can run through the football and have vision on ball carrier. You're talking about utilizing his legs as a runner. That's got to be a huge deal. The defensive lineman for Buffalo, understanding Bo Nix's throwing trajectory. When does he want to get the ball? Because Sean Payton's going to take shots. He's going to try to build in shots down the field. The awareness of getting that hand up, not the right hand, the left hand, batting the football down. And I agree, J-Mac, the perimeter game. But one of the things that has shown up in this Buffalo defense is their ability to make just that crucial tackle when it matters the most. And so these perimeter screens are a really big deal for this offense in Denver. But I think that's a huge deal. If Buffalo's going to play defense, I'd be shocked if they played more than 5 snaps of man coverage. Shocked. I want to make Bo Nix think. The more you force Bo Nix to think, the more frantic he becomes.
They opened the week as underdogs as a 1 seed with a quarterback who's been starting all season. The only other time a 1 seed was an underdog in a divisional round game was the Eagles, and it was when Nick Foles was the quarterback. So there was an excuse there as to why. So the disrespect is massive.
Crazy.
People don't think much of Bo Nix. I think he might be the most under-talked about quarterback of the 8 remaining, and he's got the 1 seed in the playoffs.
Guess what quarterback has the best touchdown to interception ratio when trailing in the fourth quarter this year?
Bo Nix.
Who's got the best QBR?
Bo Nix.
There you go.
Well, I'll add this. Last year, they played the Bills in the playoffs, and he was terrible. He had 140 yards and only completed 50% of his passes, and it was a mess. He was completely rattled. He was a rookie. It was his first time. It was in Buffalo. It was a different situation. How much better is he now than he was then? How much more comfortable is Sean Payton giving him the keys than he was then? I think Bo Nix is a very big factor in the NFL playoffs moving forward. There are a lot of non-believers out there, including the Las Vegas sportsbooks.
All right.
Bo.
This game is going to be great. All these games are going to be fantastic. Cannot wait for this weekend to get kicked off. Time for one more thing before we go. Jameis Winston joined the Kelsey brothers on New Heights podcast, where he spoke about his trick play touchdown.
I just hope he give me a chance. You know what I'm saying? When they talk about giving number 1 receivers and number 1 tight ends the ball, all you got to do is give them a chance.
No risk it, no biscuit, baby.
And when we see this, double reverse pass. When I toss him this pill, I'm just like, man, I know I'm about to score a touchdown. Like, I've been waiting on this moment my whole life. And as I run down that sideline, I throw my hand up.
Oh, he Randy Mossed him.
And that is called attacking the football. And that's called rack.
With the fillet at the end.
It's incredible.
I mean, he's a national treasure.
He's must
That's called rack. Run after catch.
rack.
What did he say? They were cooking a fillet there? Is that, okay, I love that. Get the butter on
Is
top.
Jameis under contract with someone next year? Is he with the Giants?
Thank you, J-Mac. That was good.
We need him to be a starter next year somewhere.
All Lauren cared about was the fillet.
I felt like,
Not paying attention to
that
the
thing
butter
up.
on
Yeah.
top.
All that talk about Tomlin on TV.
Jameis on TV.
Jameis, Tomlin.
If he's not playing.
Jameis still playing football, man.
That's true.
Yeah.
We'll see you tomorrow. SportsCenter's next.
That's true.